and cloud. And so with that, games is going to become even more accessible than it already is, which is going to create a lot of opportunities and new people coming into market, like Netflixes of the world and other entertainers trying to challenge the existing market.
You mentioned you're focused on indie publishers. Do you have any competitors?
Yes, in a way, not for like finding our games. Like there's so few publishers and there's 150,000 plus developers out there. Supply and demand is an advantage of the publishers in a major way. So a competitor in market, yeah, the huge challenge is, you know, even though publishers make most of the money, there's a lot of congestion in market because you look at PC and there's probably going to be about 17,000 games coming out on Steam alone this year, and so cutting through that noise is incredibly important, which again goes back to why a publisher is so key, because that helps you cut through. Those are the ones that make the majority of the money in market, and so having publishers that support people in underserved places is really key, and that it's more likely that new IP is going to be generated from those places in comparison to San Francisco, LA, Seattle, and Austin, where most of the market currently is. Because a game developer, it doesn't matter where you are. The best ideas can come from anybody, and with so many people out there creating new ideas, we need more investment in other places.
And what's the business model? Like, are you taking a revenue share?
Yeah, so we do 70-30 until recoup, 50-50 at recoup, and then when we get to 10 times our return on investment, we do 30-70 in the developer's advantage. Building a long-term relationship, we acquire 45% of the IP and become a minority shareholder in that, which opens up obviously opportunities. You know, that next Netflix film off of an indie game. You know, you see Netflix investing in 50+ game projects right now that are going to be turned into films and TV shows. It's a huge growing avenue of revenue, and we're building new IP from the ground up.
Sounds like that model, the business model you just mentioned, the revenue share, the minority interest, and that, you know, from CPA's perspective, like that's a lot of complexity, and I'm sure, I mean, like legal complex. How do you maneuver that, or are you cover all that?
Yeah, I mean, it is incredibly complex, which is why so few can actually do this business. You have to have experience doing it. You have to know the industry, and you have to navigate a number of factors. And the reality is, like in the indie space, you lean into a lot of risk because you're very much under the radar until you're on the radar and in the center of everything going on. And so that's a challenge. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to pivot towards what exists and have things set up. Too often, indie developers aren't ready for their success, and they fail in their success. And that's what we help do, is set up a lot of those things. My team comes from the entertainment space. The head of audience and brand at Crunchyroll is my CMO, the former head of audience and brand at Crunchyroll. My head of production has been in the industry 30+ years, helping support developers and publishers. My COO helped launch PlayStation in Europe, helped relaunch Atari. So we know this business, we know how it operates, and we know how to support developers as they go to market and get them ready for success if they indeed achieve it.
Alrighty.
If you need a CPA advice,
oh, there you go. Reaching out to you.
She has a few gaming clients.
Cool.
She might be able to help.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Overdrive. Hello, everybody. In the last 2 years, Billie Eilish, Google I/O, South by Southwest, Ben & Company have all done their largest sustainable energy activations in history with Overdrive Energy Solutions. We are revolutionizing the temporary power industry by starting in the live event space. We have already done more live event, displaced more diesel energy systems in live events than the entire rest of the live event power industry combined. And we've had over $1 million in revenue in the last 2 years. Our assets are 100% utilized. We are building as quickly as we can, and what we're doing here is we're seeking investment and support to help take the unique software and hardware platforms that we've used to make battery electrification systems scalable, modular, flexible, reliable, and the best part is our systems are cost competitive.
All right, that's it. Minute. Questions?
With diesel.
Maybe you can describe a little bit more what you actually do. So what is your system?
Well, first of all, thank you. This is the first time I've done anything like this. And that was the hardest minute of my life. So now it's like clock's now. So what we've done is we've taken the principles of battery electrification, energy storage, and energy aggregation. We go and we look at all of the available energy sources, which could be grid power, it could be solar, it could be hybrid electric, or it could be diesel hybrids. And we take that energy, we store it, we design distributed power systems, and then we power live events. Now, my background is, it's perfect for this. Thank you, pandemic. I started my life as an engineer in the hybrid electric vehicle and the electric vehicle space. And then life goes funny ways, and I found myself doing business development in concerts and music festivals, touring with the biggest bands in the world, with Coldplay and U2 and Beyonce, working with large festivals. And then during the pandemic, everything stopped. And that's when I had the opportunity to look and see, this technology can really do it for this and the larger temporary events, or the temporary power world. And the proof is in the pudding. Right now, as we speak, we're setting up Dala at the LA Historic State Park. The last 3 weeks, we've activated 3 of the largest sustainably powered stages, cutting diesel use by 95% for Tyler Childress and My Morning Jacket, for Portola Music Festival in San Francisco. It's a super exciting time for us to be here, and we really feel like this is a revolution in temporary power, which, by the way, folks, is vastly dominated right now, still to this day, by diesel generators.
So, sorry if I'm being a little dense, but so you have your own modular battery system, and you use software to define the most efficient way of powering those batteries to store the energy, or I guess that's not
it's even more than that. See, what we can do is we can run scenarios, monitor things in real time, use machine learning to determine what is your goal. Is it going to be sustainability? Is it cost control? Is it reliability? And we can solve for that in real time. And again, the way we do it is we look at different energy sources. We look at things like weather trends. Is it going to be sunny tomorrow? Do we have good solar production? We look at draws. One awesome thing about electrification is that we know what every energy user we have is using. So we can actually we can make our systems bias for when a crowd's coming in, when you're going to be cooking food and beverage, who the act is on stage. And by leveraging all of these things, we can deploy something that's extremely efficient, and that's where we get cost competitive with diesel. And if there's any, sometimes these concepts can be hard to explain, but this is an absolute truth. Every single person, we've done 70 events now. Every single company, we've done 2 Google I/Os. We did 2 Luck reunions. These are big festivals with Willie Nelson. They've all come back to us, and they continue to come back to us and grow. So right now we're working with Golden Voice, a division of AEG, which is the second largest promoter in the country. They've used us for every one of their events. Last week we did the largest sustainable energy activation in U.S. festival history up at Portola in San Francisco. And we're already talking about doing 3 stages at Dodger Stadium in August.
So how does your pricing compare to your competitors, like the diesel systems? And then what is your margin on that? How are you making money?
So our prices are either cost competitive or even cheaper when you look at the cost of the energy system. So it's essentially an equipment rental, right? So the rental equipment plus the cost of diesel fuel and the labor in order to manage it. The simple fact is that our systems are quite a bit more efficient to deploy. Even when we use generators to hybridize them, just like you do a hybrid electric vehicle, this is a real number. Last weekend, we burnt 290 gallons of fuel at the ship stage at Portola. The previous year, they burnt over 3,000. So that's a 95% reduction. These are validated numbers. We have we actually done some work with Paleo Group, which is out of Oxford University. And the question on the margins are, right now we're operating at about 35% net margins. It's because we have to rent a lot of equipment. And our focus right now, we have already taken the gear, and then we've taken our software packages, and we've taken our process and deployment and proved that it works. And now what we really need to do to raise those margins is to build more and more of our own gear. We've built about 45 units right now, ranging in size from 3 to about 250 kilowatts. And like I said, right now, every job we do is just building more units.
So if I understand correctly, your solution is about portable mobile ESS, so energy storage solution. And then I can see that with energy storage solution, battery-based energy storage solution have some advantage. Do you have any reason why you're targeting currently on the live event markets?
Absolutely. Now, first of all, for the last 10 years, I've been working in live events, taking products that were first developed in live events and moving into a larger market. It's because, frankly, guys, this is not a technological problem. This is a cultural problem. There's a lot of inertia in the energy market. And what we're doing is we're using the technology and systems to ease that transition, to make it reliable, to make it easy to implement. And so I think that moving forward, we're going to see this change organically, because the simple fact is it is materially better in every way. And again, the proof in the pudding is our customers. I tell people all the time, don't ask me. Ask anyone who's in music production at any of these events that I talk about, and they'll tell you about overdrive.
I have a question around capacity and scalability. So right now, are you only able to do one event at a time, and then how long in between events can you go? And if you can do an event like the next day, does that mean that you have to ship equipment to another city or state if the event is in a different state?
Well, that's, first of all, the capacity and flexibility. That's one of the greatest things about, and that's what's unique about our solution. Battery electrification systems are inherently modular and scalable. But right now, most of the market is providing them just like they would provide utility-grade power or diesel generators. They make very large systems, and they ignore the fact that you can deploy them with so much flexibility. That's one of the big things that we've done. So as far as how many events, I'm not kidding when I say we are 100% deployed. Right now, pretty much every weekend, we have a gear going out when it's Coachella season, when there's a large music festival in town, it's all right there. Last weekend, we did a show with Neil Young and John Mayer at the Painted Turtle in Lake Hughes, small 3,500 cap fundraiser style show. So we had enough to do 626 night markets in Vegas as well. But right now, our pipeline and demand for our products is exceeding, what we can do on our own. So what we're seeking is investment, and we're looking for about $5 million, and that's just to satisfy our 2025 pipeline. We already have commitments from all our biggest customers, and mind you, if any of you are at South by Southwest, you'll see us go to the community stage. Anyone going to Coachella, you'll see us there. We're in highly visible spaces, and that's the other thing I want to point out, is that one of the reasons I work in the live event space, well, there's two. First of all, it's a really great iterative engineering sandbox. The dirty little secret is, while we might be having rock and roll or country or whatever it is on stage, we're doing the same thing over and over again, and we're gathering data, and we know what we need to do to make the next activation better or more effective, all right? At the same time, sure, there's hybrid electric battery systems in construction. They're happening at airports. Billie Eilish stood on stage in Grant Park in Chicago in front of 100,000 people and told the world that that show was solar powered. We set up a 60,000 square foot solar farm in the middle of Grant Park that people saw from all over the place, and it was featured in news and things like that. So by putting this technology in highly visible spaces and dating all the way back to celebrities in Hollywood driving Toyota Priuses, putting technology, especially renewable energy technology in highly visible spaces has been very effective. So that's one of the reasons we're there.
Can you give us a sense of revenues? I mean, you're doing Google I/O, Coachella, like.
Yes, so our revenue for, I'll give you, Google I/O was about $250,000. So it was 25% of our business this year, but that's because it was also a 2-month build. We deployed all in total about, I think, 3.5 megawatt hours of electricity there over a long period of time. A smaller event, a weekend event like this down Gala at LA State Historic Park, that'll be about $15,000. But you know, the important part is the temporary power market in the United States is about $6 billion, and it is completely dominated by equipment rental companies renting people diesel generators without really, you know, a lot of opportunity to reduce emissions. So what are they doing? They're pairing batteries with generators. They're doing things, and they're telling people that sustainability is a cost added. By taking these solutions, leaning on their strengths, that modularity, the fact that you can take in a lot of different kinds of energy. And by the way, we can output different kinds of energy. So not to get too technical, but you know, industrial applications need 480 volt 3-phase, and your toaster needs 120 volt single phase, and this light might be DC. Well, you can't mix and match stuff with diesel generators like you can with battery electrification systems. So by using this technology and leveraging those strengths, we've actually been able to make something that's more reliable, more sustainable, and more cost effective than the incumbent technology.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have one more pitch. So Pink.
We're pressing on time, so.
There's one last pitch. Is Pink here? Yeah. Hang on.
Here you go.
1 minute. When you're ready. Last one.
Last one.
Hello, my name is Inan Shortaç. I'm the founder of Innovation Labs. It's a new generation battery company. Life is going toward, right now, world is going toward electrification. And right now, the bottleneck is the batteries themselves, which is claimed to power this new world. But the problem is the specifications. The batteries have been built the same way for the past 250 years. We have a new geometry to build the battery. So we have a 3-dimensional embedded electrode assembly that we invented, which allows us to make batteries that can be charged in 2 seconds and can store 5 times more energy and can last 100 times longer. I know it sounds like a sci-fi or like too good to be true, but you can come and see our lab in San Diego. So far, we have raised about $5 million, and we built our first coin cell prototype. And now, next year, we will build our first commercial prototype, and then build our first.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Quick question on the tech. So, is this cathode system based on the lithium battery system? Yes. So basically, right now, if you look at the development in the batteries, so there are 4 components in the batteries: cathodes, anodes, electrolytes, and separators. And if you look at the new technologies, each company, each technology focuses on one component and improving that component. In our case, we changed the way a battery is built. So it can be, different chemistries can be applied to it. Right now, our prototype is lithium-ion based. It can use other ions. But it's a combination of a 3-dimensional anode made out of silicon and the separator, ultra-thin film separator that we built. That's basically the core of our innovation. And the spatial cathode material that we built, but it can be applied to different cathode chemistries as well. So essentially, it can be, this new geometry can utilize different chemistries. But right now, our first prototype, we are using conventional cathode chemistries combined with our silicon separator, silicon anode and separator.
What you're trying to do is obviously very hard.
Yeah.
So what what are your qualifications? Like, how is it that you're in a position to be able to create such a technology?
So essentially, I'm a serial founder myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur and inventor. So my background is physics, chemistry, material science, and electrical engineering. I did my PhD at UCSD. This work has started maybe more than 10 years ago. My main expertise is ultra-thin films, the separator that basically enables. So basically, we have made the thinnest separator in the world right now, under 1 micron. It's about 430 nanometers. That's the world's thinnest separator. That's the key technology that my expertise is based on. I developed those chemistries throughout my 15 years of career. Ultra-thin film membranes that have stereo properties. My team itself is a combination of nano-engineers, electrical engineers, chemists, and material scientists. And this technology is enabled by the mixture of all these different approaches. I myself, coming from physics and materials background, not coming from the battery industry myself. The solution comes from the nanotechnology itself. And this technology, this novel technology that enabled this approach has been developed in the past 10 years. And I'm one of those pioneers that did this kind of chemistries. And one of the issues right now, especially in the battery industry, is it's going back to when Volta first invented the battery. The battery, if you look at the way it's manufactured, it's a very old school process. The way we build our batteries is they look more like a electronic chip or a solar cell manufacturing rather than like the conventional battery manufacturing. So that new perspective basically opened up new opportunities and new specs. Right now we are using similar materials but in a different way, and the limits of the material itself kind of changed in different forms. So then it allows new opportunities. The manufacturing changes, but now we are adopting different industrial processes that has already been proven, like the ones in chip manufacturing or like the ones in solar cell manufacturing. But we fuse them with the battery manufacturing.
What's the safety profile of what you're developing compared to the lithium-ion batteries that are currently on the market?
So one of the limitations of lithium-ion chemistries is dendrite formation. Dendrite formation is this. So essentially, imagine two cities are connected by a bridge. If you think this two-city system as a battery as a whole, and the people living in these cities are the lithium ions, let's say. People sitting at their homes doesn't help. So you can have high energy density when you have high rises and everything. But when people move and cross the bridge, that's when you charge and discharge the battery. The problem is you have all these roads, you have all these skyscrapers that have all these people and they can get out. But in the end, they accumulate at the bridge to cross the bridge. That's when the congestion happens. The chemical version, the chemical analog to this is essentially dendrite formation. When lithium ions concentrate at some point with high concentration, they start reacting with each other, and then they form these structures called dendrites. Every charge and discharge cycle, we keep forming more and more dendrites between anode and cathode. So then eventually they short, and that's when you lose the capacity. That's the reason why we have limited number of cycles in the batteries, because slowly you form these dendrites. And this is all about how many ions you have at a place at a given time. The way we solve this problem is essentially, instead of having them cross one bridge, we essentially give everyone their own bridge. It's almost like mixing two cities together in this three-dimensional embedded electrode assembly, that's what we call. That way we increase the surface area. Surface area too much that ions don't have opportunity to come together and form these dendrites. When you solve this issue, then you solve most of the safety issues actually. Because when you form dendrite, when you short the cells, that's when you have this devastating effect. So for instance, that's why like several years ago, the Samsung batteries exploded, because they tried to charge too fast, and eventually they formed this dendrite and they shorted. But in our case, the dendritic formation is virtually eliminated. So in that sense, it improves the safety, it improves the cycle life quite a bit. And instead of using soft component and slurries, we are also using crystal silicon that you use in chip manufacturing. That's a very robust, that's a very safe material. And its heat dissipation is extremely high, as well as its electronic conductivity. That way you don't produce extra heat that leads to, again, this devastating effects that other batteries have. So in short, we have a very strong claim on safety, although our specs are very high.
Right.
Question.
I worked in Samsung for 10 years. So also in Samsung Bench, I made several investment battery systems in different types of batteries in the past. So I kind of understand what you're saying, and would love to explore further. But just want to understand from the business development, from company point of view, you said you've done up to the stage of coin cell testing, which means not much in the commercialization sense. So what is your plan and timeline for going into a pouch and the large scale capacity?
So essentially, we are working on our first pack, let's say, and we want to make a demo of prototype, especially like we are interested in the aerospace, drone space actually. Right now, we are building our first pack, so we believe that we will be able to build that in the next 6 months. That's what we need the funding for. This is exactly because the specs are so high. Why now everybody is like running at you with their money, with their checkbacks? That's the reason. A lot of companies failed because of like passing this on. Our advantage is, although we changed the way it's manufactured, we are adopting the processes that are already been validated and have been tested. So that is the most important inflection point for us. So we will need to build the facility and to show that we can actually build a pack in a reasonable way, in a reasonable process that can be scaled up. So that is the most important step right now, and that's what we are working on. But in that sense, we have confidence that we will be able to build right now. We are working, we are doing research and bringing experts from chip industry, solar cell industry, and battery industry, and we are basically developing this plans for this first facility that will enable that. But we have high confidence that we will be able to do that.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Close this out.
No, I mean, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. How much time do we have left?
It's 3:47. You have 12 minutes to get out of here.
Whatever.
But just want to say thank you for the people that stayed till the end. I mean, we want to do more of these. Jonathan and my sister and everybody else is going on the road show. And so we're not just doing this here in LA, but Vegas, DC started. I know. So we're doing about 15 events this month. So if I don't get back to you really quickly, you know I'm busy. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for showing up. Because showing up is half the battle in LA. But I just want to say thank you for all the sponsors. I wanted to say thank you to all the judges, panelists, Jonathan.
Honestly, everyone, please clap.